To twist or not to twist? I guess Shakespeare was onto something. So, hey, what's up, YouTube and my subscribers? It's been a really long time since I've made a video. And surprise, it's not a movie review. It's about hair. I know that there are a lot of hair videos on YouTube already, and I'm making one of thousands of them. But as you can see, my hair is a little bit different. I have decided to embrace the journey, the magical, somewhat treacherous, yet always beautiful journey of growing locks. Now, it might just seem like, what's the big deal about locks? But from what I learned in the lock community, there's a lot of different terminologies and ways to go about it. And now that I'm deep in the game, I just wanted to talk about the topic of twisting your hair versus not twisting your hair, manipulation versus non-manipulation, otherwise known as freeforming. So I wanted to document my process of growing locks, what I'm doing right now. I got my hair twisted and sectioned and washed by a loctician in the very beginning. I had a certain idea of how many locks I wanted and the thickness, and I used to have an afro before, and I have thick hair, so it would have been way too much work for me, honestly, to separate my hair on my own. So I did go to a loctician. She washed it, separated the sections, twisted it, sat it in the hairdryer for a while, and it's been about 2 months since I've been back, and I decided I didn't want to go back. I guess you could call it semi-freeforming, but don't worry, all you freeformers out there. I know that the definition of freeforming is doing nothing at all. No manipulation, no twisting, no separating. That is true freeforming. So I'm not claiming that I am freeforming. The differences between twisting your locks and freeform method, the benefits of either side or the not so great things of either side. So let's start with the twisting method or manipulation. So to twist or not to twist? Well, let's start with the twisting method. It's probably the one that you've heard of the most, seen the most, and is probably done the most. It's where about once a month you go to a loctician or you do it yourself, where you twist your hair with wax or gel or whatever, or oil, whatever you decide to use, and you help manipulate the lock, you help it lock faster, and it shapes more of a compact rope-like shape. They're more uniform. You can choose the size of the section, the shape, you have more control over your hair. A lot of times it's more professional looking. It's easier to find a job or be more professional in the workplace with these type of locks. It's very versatile. Since you can adjust the size of each lock, you can have more variety of hairstyles. You have more control about how your locks look. They look more neat, and because you help twist them and you help them be more compact, and the locks usually develop faster than freeforming, they have more weight, you can feel it, and sometimes you can even see more length because you're adding gel or wax or whatever you choose to use. The locks develop quicker, so you'll see more hang time, and they have more weight, so you can do this and feel the wind blowing through your hair and all that. You see the progress a little bit faster. And it's honestly the most popular way to go about having locks. When you think about locks, it's probably the first one you think of. It's probably the most used and the most accepted in society. Now for the cons, product buildup. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I know about the whole wax situation. I've heard of why not to use it, but at the same time, it's been used for many, many years. Not everyone has a bad experience with wax, but it's becoming more known that using wax maybe isn't the best thing to use anymore. Product buildup is a very likely thing to happen when you do twist your hair, whether it's wax or gel or an oil or something like that, because once your lock will develop faster and the wax and the gel is helping it stay together, and you don't wash your hair on a daily basis, especially in the beginning, over time, if every month you're twisting with wax or gel or oil, the more product you'll have in your hair, and the harder it might be to get that product buildup out of your hair. Now with wax specifically, because it is wax and it's so thick and it doesn't really help your hair breathe, And I've heard if you don't dry your hair properly with wax especially, there can be mildew where your hair is always kind of damp and it doesn't get the proper dry time, and when your hair is always wet and it smells, and then mildew happens, and once that happens it's not easy to get out, and no one wants that. And this isn't to say that anyone and everyone who uses wax this has happened to. No, it's just there's been a lot of documented cases, I guess, so it's just something to think about before you do that. But even with gels or oils, when you're constantly putting things in your hair, it's important for your hair to be clean as well. And many times when you twist your hair and you want it to be compact, you want it to lock faster, so you're using stuff to help speed up the process, the more you're putting into your hair, and even though it'll have weight and, oh look, it's a lot, you can feel it, you gotta make sure it's clean. The second risk with twisting your hair, or the manipulation method, is the risk of hair loss, hair breakage, receding hairline, all those things. When locks mature, they get heavier, and when you are gonna have locks for a long period of time, that twisting and friction at the roots of your hair every month, or even more than that, over a long period of time, causes a lot of tension, and you'll see a lot of people sometimes with the really tiny dreads and their hair starting to recede because all that pulling and tension and friction over time, it's not always good for your hair. And I know it's really nice. The one good thing about twisting is you get to see that fresh, neat look where you see the grid pattern, you see your scalp, and it's fresh and it's new, and it's like, okay. But at the same time, it's really tight, and you just gotta be careful. Just make sure if you are seeing a loctician, make sure they're not twisting your hair so tight. Same with like if you have braids. If you have braids that are too tight all the time, it can and most likely will create tension and friction, and it could lead to hair loss. And again, disclaimer, not to say this will happen to you, but as long as you know and you're careful, it's just another risk you have to consider. And the last thing that I kind of noticed, that when you twist your hair a lot, I've seen what I like to call the relaxed syndrome. I used to have relaxed hair a long time ago, and if you ever have had relaxed hair, you understand that when your roots come in and you have relaxed hair at the ends, they're not the same texture. It does not look cute all the time. Like when you sweat out your hair gets wet and you have like your nappy roots, and then it just doesn't blend very well, so you'll hide it. And then those last 2 weeks before you get that perm, you just cannot wait to get a perm. And then when you finally do get your perm, you're all happy and you feel like you're at your best, your hair looks its best, and it's like this weird psychological thing where you don't accept your roots and you don't like your roots because it's not like the rest of your hair. The same thing kind of happens when you twist your hair, where your locked hair, when it's twisted, will be more compact and it's more rope-like, and then you'll have your new growth coming in and it's really fluffy and frizzy, and it doesn't match up with the rest of your locks. And so you really want that retwist, and especially towards the end of the month, and you don't feel like they look that great, and it is two different hair textures. So it can happen when you're waiting for that retwist, like the same kind of thing when you're waiting for that perm, where you just want to hide your hair until you get your hair done. The thing about going natural in general is accepting your hair for what it is and just letting it do its own thing and accepting your roots. And so it can happen where you don't feel like your hair looks at its best. For some people, it's not a big deal. You just wait till that next retwist. But if you're one of those people that really want to just accept their hair for what it is, and you like your real nappy, fluffy hair texture, your roots, then sometimes retwisting, you'll notice you'll have two different hair textures. Now more on to the freeform method, or the non-manipulation method. The most popular person you'll think of is Bob Marley. He has true freeform locks, and that is literally you just wash your hair and go. And of course you can add, essential oils and whatever you want to add to your hair to keep it moisturized and healthy, but at the same time they don't separate their locks. They don't do anything. They just keep washing, and it could turn into one huge matted lock, or maybe three, or maybe one huge lock with three separate locks at the end. You literally don't have much control over how your locks will look, the size, the shape, nothing. You just kind of let your locks become what nature intended them to be. And for a lot of freeformers who want to actually do this kind of method, they embrace that fact. And if you're not into that and you have a lot less control, and it's not always accepted in society, it might be harder for professional type of workplaces to accept this type of hairstyle. A lot of people do not like the look of just matted hair. It's like truly just matted hair, and yes, that's what locks are, but freeformers embrace it truly. And unless you see the beauty in that, which not everyone does, which is okay, this method might not be for you. It is becoming more accepted in the lock community. I feel like a lot more people are seeing the beauty in just freeform locks, but it's really not for everyone. It's not nearly as popular, but there are a lot of benefits to it. One huge benefit is that it takes a lot less work. It's way less manipulation involved. All you do is wash your hair how many ever times you want to wash it. That's fine. It could be 3 times a week, every day, once a week. Having healthy, clean hair is important because all hair will lock eventually. The twisting method just kind of accelerates that process. But at the end of the day, any type of hair, if you don't comb it, if you don't brush it, if you don't do anything to it, you just wash it, it will lock. Friction and washing it, and clean hair tends to, stick together like that. There's much less risk of hair breakage, hair loss, receding hairline. There's not nearly as much tension and friction that you're constantly putting on your hair every month or more than that. If you like more of the earthy, organic, natural type of look, it's definitely more up your alley than the manicured, manipulated, twisting kind of method. When you have freeform locks, there's not 2 different type of textures. It's just all the same type of hair. You don't see the difference, which is really nice. And the one thing freeformers have is that their locks will be completely unique to themselves. Because they're not trying to make every lock uniform and the same size and shape, and they just let however their locks are supposed to form be that way, it's completely unique. Not one of their locks are the same, and their locks will not be the same as anyone else's on the street, which is kind of cool. They have more personality, and it makes you stand out. Less product buildup. And now for the negatives. Simply put, the look is not for everyone. Even though locks are matted hair at the end of the day, freeform locks is just truly letting your hair mat and lock however way it chooses to. You have no control over it. If you want to go true freeform, there's just no control. You embrace the chaos of it. Not a lot of society accepts it yet. Some people might think you look crazy, and maybe it'd be harder to find a job with that kind of hairstyle because less people are accepting of it. Of course you can style freeform locks, but you probably wouldn't have as much variety as you would have with the twisting method. And one big thing I noticed is that with freeform locks, your locks will become a mature lock eventually, like all hair will. But when you twist your hair, it accelerates the process, and you'll see results way faster, and they'll have more weight and they'll swing and all that. But with freeform locks, since there's no product, you're not twisting in your hair, there's not as many products in it, it'll just kind of go whichever way it goes. It will lock, maybe not as fast though, and it'll just kind of stick out whichever way, and it takes a lot more time and patience for your locks to mature and look more like locks instead of just a matted afro that looks like you haven't combed it. So those are roughly the pros and cons of twisting your hair versus not twisting your hair. And of course, like I said before, there's the semi-freeform method that I guess kind of looks similar to what I'm doing. There's the semi-freeform locks where there's little manipulation, not nearly as much as if you twisted it all the time. For example, you can wash your hair and do nothing else but wash your hair, but you separate your locks because you don't want them to become like one solid lock. So you're still manipulating them, so technically it's semi, not all the way true freeform. But at the end of the day, there's so many different terminologies, or I twist my hair, I have semi, I'm a true freeformer, there's all these different types of things, but truly, as long as you just do your research and you understand what all these different types are, you can choose whichever method you like. You can dabble in any one you'd like. You can twist your hair sometimes, or you can go long periods of time without twisting your hair. The true answer to twist or not to twist is, it's up to you. Yeah, it's super cliche, but at the end of the day, it is just hair. And while hair is important to us, whichever look that you feel like fits you, you do that. If you want to twist your hair, if you like the neat look and how you have more control over like the thickness and the size, shape, and you like the look of like the ropes, like poetic justice type of thing, that's totally understandable. If you like the spiritual journey and the freedom of freeform locks, I totally get that, and it makes a lot of sense. And be brave and do it for you. The thing about going natural is embracing your ethnic hair and your nappy roots, and just loving your hair for how it is and not chemically altering it or covering it up. Embrace it however way you like. And again, with me, I get the benefits of freeforming, and I'm leaning more towards that. I am not a true freeformer, obviously. I have separated my hair in the beginning, and I wanted to just have a nice foundation of how many locks I wanted and the thickness of each section. But then after that, I realized going back to a salon once a month and feeling like I need to retwist all the time and the money that's involved, it seems like for me it was a little bit too much. And after going natural 2 years ago and cutting off my hair, I like the feeling of the freedom of just letting your hair grow how it wants and embracing the way it looks. So in the beginning, I did get my hair twisted by a loctician because I wanted it professionally done, and it's been about 2 months. And I literally just wash my hair about twice a week and nothing else. And I spritz it with a mix of rosemary and water with a little bit of salt. That's it. And I love my hair. It's a journey. They kind of do whatever they want. They stick out whichever way they want. It's not neat looking at all. Some people look at it funny. But I feel like if you want to be yourself and you just do what you want to do, that's the beauty of locks to me. And I'm excited to see how they will turn out. And they're not very mature, they're really young, and they're very light, and there's still a lot of them that haven't really truly locked yet. But I'm excited to see how they will be in the next couple months or a year from now. And I might get it twisted every once in a while, maybe, or I'll just never twist again. But hopefully this video was helpful about distinguishing the differences between twisting your hair and not twisting your hair. Maybe you get more of an idea of which one would suit you best. And I'm excited for this journey, and let's see what happens.